master thesis presentation, this project, master thesis presentation, this project. Yeah. What about in institutional genre? Academics, commencement address, yeah, presidents or rectors address to the faculty. If today, Miss Reza, yeah, Miss Reza, my Solano LPT will conduct, yeah, and present her research that's about transitivity in presidential inaugural speech, for example. It will be different genre, yeah. Okay, that based on Fortanet in 2005. So again, genre. This is the concept of genre used to describe the impact of the context of culture on language, yeah, by exploring the stage. So later on, of course, we are going to try to uncover what kind of stage, yeah, what kind of move and steps in each point. What about in lecture? Of course, that will be steps. Yeah, I think this is very familiar for us. Yeah, for lecturers. What about in lectures genre? Of course, it will be three pace. Yeah, three paces, starting from the opening and then the activity and then closing. And this is the part of genre. What about in, for example, in academic writing genre? It will be different. Yeah, it will be different. Now, so today in my presentation, I just focus on this. Yeah. So we try to uncover what kind of stage, yeah, in lecture, especially for online lecture. Now, this based on Gerard and Wicknell. All genre have beginning, middle, and structure. Of course, every single researcher has their own term. All right, so they have their own term. The beginning, middle, or the end, it will be the same. Yeah, it will be the same. But in my research, I have tried to determine that I try to use in opening page, and then in activity page, and the last in closing page. Yeah, all right. So that's about genre. What about generic structure? Since this is our main discussion, generic, schematic. In other words, generic. What is generic? When we hear, when you try to order obat generic, obat generic. What is that generic? General, yeah, predictable, predictable. So that's why this research will be beneficial, important for students and also for new lecturers, for example, yeah, when they try to conduct lecture, for example, because based on Martin, yeah, in 1985, schematic structure present, yeah, the positive contribution genre makes to a text, a way of getting from A to B, in the way a given culture accomplishes whatever the genre in question intending to do that culture. A to B, yeah, means that from the opening to the end. That's in the context of a lecture, yeah. And then also the text stage, as I taught you at the beginning, predictable, predictable. So what about after what about in opening, for example? After opening, what else? What next move? What next step? Yeah. And then based on agents in 2004, Zanger develops linguistic expression through a limited number of functional stages occurring in particular sequences. Since this is still a systematic literature review, yeah, because this is my first what is that way how to see at glance, yeah, in general first before I what is that conduct my research in detail, yeah, the whole. All right, as I taught you in my research question, so this SLR research not only investigate the schematic structure or generic structure, but also try to examine, yeah, examine the realization of lexicogrammatical features in each step, in each pace, in each move. What happened? Yeah, what happened with this? What kind of lexicogrammatical features that they used, especially for the guest lecturers? For example, what about in opening? So what kind of additional meaning, what kind of interpersonal meaning, what kind of textual meaning that they used? That will be the next discussion. But the question is, what is lexicogrammatical feature? Yeah. So when we see what is that? The framework from Martin, yeah, adapted from Martin, we can see this kind of framework. See the level from the level of phonology. This is the level of lexicogrammar. See here, and then semantics. We try to analyze this, yeah, the interpersonal, and then additional, and then textual. We try to investigate this, yeah, in each step. We can see from Gerard and Wignell, lexicogrammatical features of various genres are integral to this genre. For it is through lexicogrammatical choices that meaning is built up in the text. So everyone, please try to take a note. In every genre, of course, we can investigate their lexicogrammatical features based on their characteristics. Of course, in every genre, we'll have different lexicogrammatical features because the someone who produces the text, they have their own choices based on the context. See, and it will be our discussion starting from additional meaning. Yeah, this is how the language represent experiences about the world and events. What's going on in additional meaning? And then the second, in additional meaning, it will be also be discussed by Miss Reza, yeah, after this, but in different contexts. In inaugural speech, this is about what is that? Additional meaning transitivity system, yeah, in transitivity system, in additional, experiential or logical meaning. And then the second, what about in interpersonal? Interpersonal emphasize the interaction between the speaker and the listener. As we know in lecture, that will be lecturer and students. See, what about the interaction? Yeah, in my research will uncover this kind of speech function that they use, both lecturer or students. So we can see later on based on the findings, yeah. And then the last is textual meaning. This is a function as a message. How the someone who produced the text try to tie their text from one text to other text. How to make the text is cohesive, more cohesive, yeah, or coherence. They have the coherence. All right, so those are the concept of genre and then schematic structure and also lexicogrammatical features. And in this research, I have tried to find some, yeah, the new ones starting from 2007, 16, 19, 20, 21, and 22. And the last is from Saragi, Batubara, yeah, and Khairina. They conducted research on online learning, yeah, online learning. But what makes different our research and the previous research is no one discussed schematic structure and lexicogrammatical in guest lecture, but they try to use different approach as well. What about in our research? We try to use systemic functional linguistic as Saragi, Batubara, and Karina did. Yeah, but from Hemphill, Ali Baikan, Zhou, Fulton, Jablon, they use the different approaches. So that's what makes different. Yeah, so that's why our research will fill the gap. Yeah, from the previous research. So hopefully, at the end, we try to find the model of a lecture, a guest lecture. Yeah. Okay. So this is the method that I don't want to talk much about this. Okay, so I try to proceed directly to the result, yeah. But this is based on the SLR, yeah, SLR systematic literature review that I have got. This is from online learning, but not from guest lecture. So hopefully, after conducting this, we try to find the new model of schematic structure or generic structure from guest lecture. This everyone. So as I taught you, based on the theory that we have adapted, so based on the findings, we got 3 page, yeah, from the opening page, and then the second we have the discussion page, yeah, discussion page, and then the last is closing page, where in each page consists of move or steps, yeah, move or steps. Now, and also in each case, also yeah, are identified some steps. For example, in the first move, in getting started, for example, consists of 2 steps. Step 1, step 2. This is based on the systematic literature review, yeah, thanking and greeting, for example, and then class checking. We can see here some utterances that the lecturers used. Can you see my screen? See, in class checking. So I can jump into my talk. Are you all in? Who hasn't appeared in the participant list? Where is P? P refers to the name, yeah? I just want to make sure whether you are all in the participant list. That's in the second step. Okay. And then what about the second move that we call as warming up? Yeah, the warming up. So I'm talking today about the use of technology to address identity issues in primary school math, for example. That's stating lecture objective. Yeah. And then after that, ice breaking. In ice breaking, I got, yeah, from the previous studies. Let's take a look and let's make a quick poll, for example, showing a question to students. Yeah, this kind of question, and I have done, yeah, in my lecture for today's lecture by asking, yeah, that's how to break, yeah, the ideas from the participants. Now, that we call as schematic structure. This is predictable, everyone. Yeah, predictable. But we try to find later on, yeah, the validated one, yeah, from the guest lecture. And then from the text, yeah, we can discuss further for lexicogrammatical. From the lexicogrammatical, and for this, I will show you the sample only, yeah, the sample only. What kind of lexicogrammatical that I found from this. I will show you this one, yeah. So based on the findings that I have conducted for my SLR, yeah. Now this one, in the stage of checking class, see, mostly the lecturers use relational process, yeah, relational process. See, are you all in? For example, who hasn't appeared in the participant list? Where is P? Mostly. So we can take the conclusion, yeah, the conclusion that mostly the lecturers used relational process. What is relation process? We can see here. This one, yeah. Relational process are the process of being. This is based on Halliday, yeah, in 1994. In English, relation process operate with three main types, yeah. This kind of relation process: intensive, circumstantial, and possessive. And when we see this kind of text, are you all in? This the kinds of circumstance, yeah, circumstantial. Okay. See, when we try to analyze this based on relation process, the process of being, are you with me? Relational, yeah, relational with circumstantial types. You as the career, and then with me as attribute. See, this is only the sample. So hopefully everyone, the students, yeah, as well, if you are interested in SFL later on, you can focus or in details. Yeah, you can focus even only relational process. Yeah, you don't need to analyze all kind of processes. As we know that there are 6 types of processes. Yeah, verbal process, and then we have behavioral process. Yeah, and then and many others. See. And then what else? What kind of process that we found? That's mental process, the process of sensing. In what kind of text? See, this is in checking, yeah, in checking. Do you understand it? when the lecturer try to cross check whether the student understand or not. Do you understand? So the speaker who produced the text using verb understand. This one, yeah, using mental, because it try to what's the encode meaning of thinking, yeah, of thinking. Do you understand this one? Yeah, as we know that mental process, this is encodes meaning of thinking or feeling. Is it only using understand? No, maybe maybe later on, yeah, we try to find others. For example, I always use this. For example, listen to me. Listen. For example, listen. What kind of process is it? Behavioral or mental process? Listen to me. This one. Yeah. I think this is very interesting. And then when the lecturers to do what is that? Ask students to do something. Yeah. Do the task, for example. Mostly the lecturers use material process, because mostly the lecturer asks student to do something. Well, everyone, you are required to do 6 kinds of assignment. Well, you will have to do 6 kind of assignment. You will be divided into group, for example, like this. Yeah. So from this sample, we found 3 kinds of processes: material, and then mental process, and then relational process. Right? So hopefully we will find other types, yeah, of the process. Okay, what about next? After additional, I will show you interpersonal. See. So based on this research, so command, for example, yeah, mostly the lecturer use command, yeah, the command to ask a student to do something. Please click the sign breakthrough on your laptop, for example. Yeah, please click. This is directive. Yeah, directive. This is the interaction between lecturer and the student. But I don't know in another pace. For example, in discussion pace, it will be different. Yeah, in interpersonal meaning, maybe what is that? Declarative, maybe. Yeah. What about the last? I will also give only the sample. This is textual meaning. You know, this is very interesting, I guess. Yeah. Now, when the lecturers try to give assignment, mostly the lecturers use procedures text. Procedures, yeah, how to explain. the instruction using firstly, yeah, secondly, thirdly, finally. See, when we analyze this using what is that? The system of theme, yeah, that we call in textual meaning, that we call as thematic progression, yeah. I also have discussed this in my previous research. All right, so based on the findings, we found constant theme. See, firstly, read the problem. When we see the pattern that we call as constant, yeah. Firstly, read directly, imperative. The theme, read, and then secondly, discuss. Thirdly, write down. Finally, present. See the pattern based on agents we call as constant theme. Sir, is there any other pattern? Yes. Yes. Okay, but in this presentation, since we have limited time, I just like to show you the sample. Yeah. Is there any linear, for example, theme? Could be. Yeah, could be. Okay. So I think this is very interesting. Nah. All right. So those are the schematic, starting from the schematic structure or generic structure, and also the realization of three kinds of meanings, from additional, and then interpersonal, and then textual. All right, so I will end my presentation. So I can conclude, yeah, that the new findings, even this is still SLR, but I think it's very interesting. Yeah, the study highlight that EFL online guest lecture are different. Yeah, differently structured. Yeah, even I only use one. What is that? One transcript from one lecture. Yeah, before I try to analyze. I think more than 10. Yeah, Miss Dian. Yeah, since we have conducted many lectures, especially for guest lecture. All right. And then I think for the implication, this is also very important, very beneficial for pedagogy side, yeah, both theoretical implication and practical implication, both for lecturer or students. How to, what is that, understand the content lecture easily. All right, I think enough. Thank you, Mr. Yogi.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Heri Kuswoyo, for the lecture sessions about SFL, especially on academic discourse. So for all the audience, you are welcome to give questions. So we will have a question and answer sessions after the second presenters or the second lectures will deliver the materials. But those who are already have the questions in mind, you kindly type the questions in the chat box. Yeah. All right, so now we are going to proceed to the second lecture sessions that will be delivered by Ms. Reza Maisi Solano, LPT, from Davao Oriental State University. Hello, good morning, Ms. Solano.
Hello, good
Good morning.
morning.
All right. Okay, so today Ms. Solano will deliver the materials on transitivity on President Marcos' inaugural speech. But before that, let me read the brief curriculum vitae of Ms. Reza Mai Solano. So Ms. Reza Mai Solano is one of the instructors of English program in Institute of Educations and Teachers Training in Davao Oriental State University. And before that one, Ms. Solano also became the coordinators of Senior High School and Academic Council's Senior High School Unit Philippine Academy of Sakya Davao. And then for her educations, Ms. Solano has completed the master degree in English and Applied Linguistics on CAR through the thesis writing from University of Southeastern Philippines. University of Southeastern Philippines. All right, so without further ado, please welcome Ms. Solano.
You're right. Let me just. Okay. Good morning to our dear faculty and staff, students, guests from Universitas, Teknokrat Indonesia, as well as the Oriental State University. So today I'll be presenting to you the last topic under English education for this international collaborative lecture series. So I'll be discussing transitivity processes in President Marcos Jr. inaugural speech. Now, for our lecture targets, we'll try to introduce, this is somehow introduced already by Professor Harry, the systemic functional linguistics earlier in his discussion. But in this topic, we'll be further discussing the configuration of processes of transitivity and as well as to present, of course, the analysis of transitivity that are found in the chosen corpus. So we have the inaugural speech of our newly elected president, Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Okay, to give you a background basics about systemic functional linguistics, this theory is actually introduced first by Michael Halliday. So this refers to the study of the relationship of language and its function in the society. So meaning it focuses on how the language is being utilized in order for in the society to achieve or attain a certain goal or a certain function in the society. So there is actually a shift in the linguistic focus from this what we call the syntactic age to the semiotic age. So because in the case SFL, language is seen to be a semiotic or a social construction by which the speaker will be using to create meaning in order to reproduce the society or how occasionally transform the society. So Holiday treated language as a system of choice, meaning the language users will be choosing the word that he or she will be utilizing in order to function in the society in order to achieve a certain goal in the society. So language has been developed to respond. This is according to Holiday to respond to three social functional needs, and we call that meta functions of language. So we have three meta functions which were also presented earlier by Prof. Harry, the educational, interpersonal, and textual. So going back to the SFL, the questions focus will be on what is the writer or the speaker is trying to do. So that will be our questions now in the SFL. What is this writer or speaker is trying to do, and what are the linguistic devices that are available for them to do it, and on what basis do their choices are anchored to. No? So we have additional. It focuses on the representational meaning functions to construe world experience by giving us what is experience, what is going on around us in the external world, and also what is going on in our mind. And then this will be realized by analyzing transitivity. So that will be our focus. And then interpersonal, we have on the interactional level of meaning, meaning the language is used to maintain or establish connection to real world by negotiating social duties and responsibilities of speakers through modal system or the moods. And then textual is on the textual flow, how the user create meaning through packaging the message. So yeah, let's have transitivity, the traditional and the new concept. Traditional view of transitivity because traditionally, normally we view verbs as action words, right? So whether verb will take a direct object, whether verb will take indirect object, or both direct and indirect object. So in the traditional concept, we refer to verb as a grammatical feature, which is transitive when you take direct object, intransitive when you do not take direct object, and they transitive when you both uh, use or the verb takes direct object and indirect. However, holiday presented a new concept in the transitivity system. In here, verb taking direct object or indirect object is not the prime consideration. But the focus of transitivity system in the new concept presented by Holiday is focusing on what is happening, what are the activities and events happening that is analyzed in the process, and who are the participants who do the action, who does the action, and then who are affected by the action, the participants, and also the relevant surroundings or the circumstances. These three are the main elements or parts of transitivity system. So basically, verbs, we will be focusing on analyzing the verbs. Verb will be the means to know what category of transitivity process does a certain utterance fall into. Okay? And then participants, the actors, and circumstances, which are the adverbial phrases and prepositional phrases. Because circumstances basically answer the questions when, how, and so those adverbial phrases. All right. So there are 6 transitivity processes. I'll be presenting to you the first and commonly used framework of transitivity system, because there are two actually transitivity system, the Holidayan system and the CG one. But I'll be presenting to you the most commonly used and the first framework of transitivity framework, which have 6 processes. The material, mental, and relational. These are the principal processes. And we have subsidiary processes, the behavioral, verbal, and existential. Subsidiary in the sense that, for example, behavioral, it can be nearly material and nearly mental. So it's playing between material and action, or it could be also with the use of perception. Same with verbal, it is nearly mental and nearly relational, and existential, nearly relational and nearly material. And we will be discussing this in depth later on as we go with our discussion, right? So let's have clause. Clause here is actually the key grammatical feature, because in clause, this is simultaneous realization of additional interpersonal and textual meanings. So take note that in SFL, we view text in functional and semantic way, not looking at the sentence as syntactic or formal object. And we can realize that by looking at the clauses, because clauses are the representation of experiences. In clause, there is what the doings, having, being, saying occur. So that's the main grammatical feature of transitivity. Okay, let's discuss the material process. This is understood to be a process of doing or process of happening, meaning there is a physical action going on. Some entity does something which may be done to something. So, and then there are 2 participant roles, the actor and goal. Goal could also be a beneficiary or client. Actor here is someone, the conscious being, someone who does the action, and the goal here is affected by the process or the action. All right, so I have here 4 examples. So for the first sentence, the police caught the criminal. So who caught the criminal? That is the police. So the police is the actor. Caught is process. It is material. It is happening. It is an action. And then who is caught by the police? The criminal. So that's the goal. Actor is someone or an entity who will be putting energy, who will be causing some change. Okay, goal will be affected. So in the second sentence, the lion was killed by the man. What is the goal? What was killed by the man? It's the lion. So that's the goal. That is affected by the verb or the process material which was killed. And who does the killing? It's the actor by the man. So if you can observe first and second sentences, they present active and passive forms of sentences. So transitivity system can be used in analyzing verb in active and passive forms. For the third sentence, we have the verb dissolve. That process is material. We are not limited to using the verbs that will really be giving us tangible action, but we can also have abstract actions or abstract event. So who did the dissolving of the committee? It's the mayor. So the mayor is the actor. And what is being dissolved by the actor? So that's the committee, the goal, the affected. For the fourth one, I give you an example. I'll be giving you an example of how beneficiary differs from a goal. So I gave it to Mary. In here, it's supposed to be the goal. I is the actor. I am the giver. Giving material the action. What did I do? So I gave something. It is the goal. Okay, what was being given, and to Mary is beneficiary. Beneficiary here is a participant role receiving the action done. For mental process, this is a process of sensing, meaning we are going to use our mental senses, right? Because Holiday suggested that people are not just doing actions. We are not just using verb to manifest action. People are also talking about what they feel, talking about what they think, and that has something to do with functions of language. So something that goes on in the internal world of the mind. So there's a difference between what's going on in world and internal world of the mind. Happenings or actions done at the external world will be material, and for mental consciousness, that will be the mental process. So there are actually four types of mental processes: perception, affection, cognition, and desirability. And there are two participant roles, the sensor and phenomenon. Sensor is the conscious being who saw something, who doesn't like something, who believes in something, someone who is sensing, okay, using the perception. Phenomenon is the one that will be felt, that will be heard, that will be believed into, that will be wanted, right? So for the first one, we have the perception. First sentence is an example of perception. We use the verb saw because saw is perception, mental process, because that's we are using our sense of sight. She saw the constellation. So the sensor here is she. The phenomenon that is being saw is the constellation. For the second sentence, affection, it refers to liking, fearing. He doesn't like it. So in the second sentence, transitivity system also covers negative forms. It does not only focuses on the positive forms of sentences. So he, the censor, doesn't like its mental process referring to affection, and it is the phenomenon, what was being disliked. Yeah. For the third sentence, we use cognition. This is using cognitive ability. Just for example, verbs like believe, know, think, understand. Those involves cognition. So that's a mental process in the cognitive type. So I believe in him. And desirability, expressing desires, wants, interest. So they want more. What do they want? They want more. So that's mental process of sensing. Relational process of being, it has two types, the attributive and identifying. So relational process generally relates a participant to its description, which is the attributive type, and identity, which is the identifying type. Participant role for attributive relational process is the carrier and attribute. Carrier here is the entity that is being described. Attribute, of course, is the description or attributive property of the carrier. So she is beautiful. This is intensive. Also take note that in relational processes, each of the type has their subcategories. It's either intensive, possessive, or circumstantial. So she is beautiful. That is intensive, simply describing what she is. For the possessive, it of course it shows possession. So animal cells don't have cell wall. So X has A. Third, the shell appears transparent, circumstantial. Here, X is at A. At A or is at can also mean X is in A, X is on A, X is for A, X is with, about, along A. So simply in the attributive relational process, you are going to describe something based on its intensive or in based on its quality, possessive, circumstantial, or binary. Next type of process identifying the identifying is token and the identifying is value. So for example, bench is the leader. So the token there is bench and the leader is value. Bench is identified as the leader and the leader is bench. Second, Hannes is the piano. Piano is Hannes. Tomorrow is the third. Third is tomorrow. So what makes also identifying relational process differs from attributive relational process is that in the identifying relational process you can do it vice versa and it makes us it means the same. Bench is the leader is bench. You cannot do that in the attributive sentence. For example, she is beautiful. You cannot say beautiful is she. It doesn't mix. There is a different. It means different. So Hannah's is the piano. So Hannah is owning the piano, and the piano is owned by Hannah. Tomorrow is the third. The third is tomorrow. That's for identifying relational process. For behavioral, this is one of the subsidiary processes. It's half material, half mental. Basically because these are the processes of physical and psychological behavior. It uh, manifests action somehow, but it also requires senses. For example, Ella smile. Smile is a physiological process. Smiling, crying, laughing. We have an action, but somehow we also use perception or senses. So that's behavioral process. Ino listens attentively. This is nearly mental. Mental in the sense that you are using your ears to listen, but also listening is an action. So hearing is different from listening. Hearing is an action, that's a mental process. Listening is a behavioral process because it involves two action and perception. Okay, for the third sentence, Kara threw a tantrum. This is nearly material because if we're going to say Kara threw a tantrum here is not a tangible object. Okay? If we are going to say, for example, make use of the sentence, Kara threw a ball, then the threw there could be or will be material process because there is an entity being affected by the action. However, in the behavioral process, Kara threw a tantrum, there is no entity being affected by the action, but however, it promotes range or it manifests a range. Kara threw a tantrum, nearly material and mental. Emma talks too fast, so that's verbal. Okay, that's for the behavioral process. And there is only one participant role in the behavioral process. No entity is being affected, so it's only the behavior. For verbal, material and mental processes of uh ano, I'm sorry, this is not supposed to be the process of physical and psychological behavior. So participant role, we have the sayer, the receiver, target, and verbiage. Sayer, the one who is saying something. Receiver, the one who is receiving the utterance. Target is the one who is being discussed. Verbiage is what is being said. So they asked him questions. They is the sayer. Asked is verbal process. Him is the receiver. So what is the verbiage is the questions. So that's the same with other sentences. You could also make use of verbal process for reporting or quoting. Reporting is indirect. We also have Milton denied that he is hungry. So you are reporting that Milton is denying that he is hungry. Or you could also make use of quotation. Milton said he is hungry. So he is hungry, that he is hungry are both verbiage. So these are the what are being said by the sayer. Okay, the last is existential process, process of existing. So it expresses the mere existence of an entity without predicating anything else. So participant role, there is only one, existent. Verbs usually used in existential process are exist, remain, arise, occur, come about, happen, or take place. So here, for example, there is a sun rising. So is existential process, and what is existing or what is arising is the sun. That's the existent. Rising is just a circumstance to give details on what is happening in an entity that is existing. All right, so let's proceed to the presentation of the analysis of transitivity processes in the inaugural speech of President Marcos or Ferdinand Marcos Jr. So in the inaugural speech, the main transitivity process that is found in the speech is the material process. So it has at least 93 material processes, followed by relational. The least transitivity process that can be found in the inaugural speech is verbal process. So what are the implications and what are the examples of these sentences? For the material process, I just chose 4 examples of process of doing. So in analyzing a clause, you can have circumstances, goal, beneficiary, client, actor, and the process material. Okay, so by your vote, that's the circumstance explaining you, the actor, rejected material, that's a process material. What is being rejected? It's the politics of division. Remember that actor or the participants are nominal, so they are nouns, pronouns, and the processes are verbals, and circumstances are adverbial and prepositional phrases. So you picked me to be your servant. You is the actor. Talking about Filipinos, picked is the process material action. Me, pertaining to president himself as the goal, and the purpose, circumstance to be your servant. Okay, also we have the abstract, the pandemic ravaged bigger economies than ours. So the circumstance here is in comparison, comparing what was being ravaged by the pandemic. Okay. And then my father built more and better roads. So that's process material. Example of mental processes, process of sensing. So saw for perception, not interested or interested, that's under affection. I fully understand that involves cognitive ability or cognition, and we all want peace in our land. That's something that expresses desirability. So those are the example of processes mental processes found in the inaugural speech of President Marcos. For relational, President Ferdinand Marcos made use of um, dominantly attributive relational process. We are farthest from the weak. He describes Filipino as farthest from the weak. You have your own lives to live. It's on the possession. All that is within reach of a hand working. So more likely in relational process, the president made use of describing the Filipinos, describing the situation, describing plan, what are the plans ahead for, what are the plans for Filipino. For behavioral process of behaving, he used verbs such as cries, do not look back, did not talk. Those are physiological process, nearly mental, nearly verbal processes, respectively. For verbal, I did not lecture you who has the biggest stake in our success. The forthcoming state of the nation will tell you exactly how we shall get this done. You ask me why I am so confident of the future. I will answer you simply that I have 110 million reasons to start with. Sorry, the you and I there and the third and fourth sentence, those are sayer, not behavior. Okay, so those are the verbal processes present in the inaugural speech. And lastly, existential. So, existential processes, there's also this verb that you can use, or the Filipino diaspora flourishes even in the most inhospitable climes. So, there is existing Filipino diaspora. So, the process existential is flourishes, the verb, and circumstance. So there are hints of a road not taken, meaning there are existing hints. So that's existential. And there were shortcomings in the COVID response. So he admitted that in the inaugural speech that we do have shortcomings in the COVID response existing in the past years. So conclusion and implication, why um, right. So conclusion and application, the transitivity is the very foundation of representation. This is not how we perceive language, but how language users choose the wording to be able to function in the society, to be able to attain a certain goal in the society. So the choice of verbs determine the type of process in a clause. As you have um, learned earlier, uh, some verbs have will categorize processes accordingly. So the dominant transitivity process in the inaugural speech is material process, which implies that the inaugural speech is material oriented for grounding a dynamic and action oriented views of reality. So you can see that in the speaker or the writer that if he or she made use of verbs that are more likely to be material process, meaning he or she is more into viewing experiences in real world as actions, something that needs to be changed. There is something that is going on that is happening. So that's for the presentation of transitivity system in the inaugural speech of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
All right. Thank you very much for Ms. Reza Mae Solano for the presentations on transitivity of the inaugural speech. So this is actually linked to the previous presentations from Dr. Heri Kuswoyo with a different genre. Both of them are spoken discourse. The first one in academic and second in political discourse. Right. So now we are in the question and answer sessions. I would like to welcome all the audience to prepare the questions, or you can directly you can directly ask to which presenters you are concerned on. Right, so welcome. You may raise hand or directly turn on your microphones. Okay, so today we have 81 participants here from both university. We are here from mostly from English Literature Study program here because Ms. Reza, the students here are taking the discourse studies class. So all of them are coming here to listen to your presentations on transitivity because this week and last week we exactly talk about systemic functional linguistic as an introduction. So your research and the presentations give them enlightenments on, the SFL is basically this way, also for Dr. Harry Kuswoyo. Okay, right. So please welcome for the audience to ask the questions. You may raise your hand, or if you're shy, you can type the questions in the chat box. Then I will help you to read the questions. Right. Okay, we have questions from Hasib Asaidi. Hasib, you can directly turn on the microphones.
So thank you so much for the opportunity. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Hasib Asaidi. I'm English literature student at Teknokrat University, batch 20. So my question is for Mr. Harry. In your research, all the lexical grammatical are something that commonly founded on the online lecture. But are those the most effective way to do the online lecture?
Okay, Dr. Harry, do you get the questions from Hasib? Okay, you may turn on the microphone first, sir. Okay.
Okay, what about the second question? Sorry, Hasib.
Okay, can you repeat the questions, Hasib?
Sure. In your research, all the lexicogrammatical are something that commonly founded on the online lecture. But are those the most effective way to do the online lecture?
Okay, you may directly answer the question, sir. Thank you very much, Hasib.
Okay, thank you, Hasib Hasaidi, for the question. Thank you. Well, as I taught you, Hasib, this is that we call as systematic literature review, where I try to study from the previous research that have conducted or published from some articles or journals, and then based on the findings, even I only focus on the sample here, the sample of data, but the answer, yes, actually, we got those kind of lexicogrammatical features starting from additional, in transitivity system, and then the second interpersonal meaning, that we call as a mood system. It will be our discussion today, especially based on our learning contract. So hopefully in this afternoon we can talk in details. And then the third, yes, we also found the last one, that is the textual meaning, that we call as theme system. System of theme and rhyme. How the lecturer to organize, how the lecturer to organize his or her lecture, to make it in good way, how the student can get the point clearly That's the point. As I given to you the sample, yeah. For example, when the lecturer to give the instruction using, see, firstly the sequences, firstly, secondly, thirdly, finally, yeah, and then directly. Firstly, do this. Secondly, read this. The third, do this. So we can see the pattern. Yeah, from the pattern we have found that we call as what is that? What that we call as instable pattern. Yeah, starting from the theme and then connected to the next theme and then connected to the next theme. That's how the way the lecturer to organize the ideas. Yeah, especially when the lecturer to give the instruction. All right, Hasib. Yeah, is that answering, Hasib?
Okay, Hasib, is that answering the questions? Okay, right.
Hello.
I think it's freezing, Mr.
Okay.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Harry. Next questions. You may raise hand. Oh, two participants raise hand. Okay, we have Fariza Audi. Okay, right. Miss Fariza, you're pleased.
Good morning. I am Fariza Audi Shaharani from Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia, and I want to ask for Mr. Harry. So we know that one of the challenge for students in online learning is the lack of interactions between student and lecturers, right? So what are the ways or solutions so that interaction continue to run well even though online learning? Thank you.
All right. Can I answer directly,
Yes,
Mr.
sure.
Yogi?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Fariza, for question. That's good. The question, I guess. And then I would like to congratulate, yeah. Okay, you are taking this course studies, Fariza, and then this is very challenging. Also, this is good opportunity for Fariza later on to take this, yeah, as your research, for example. Yeah, that's research. It will come out from your problem, ya kan? Kalau bilang apa? Keresahan gitu ya. I think this is a good way for Fariza. Okay, when I do this online learning, for example, then you have a problem. This is good. Interesting issues, I guess, yeah, Fariza, yeah. And then many researchers who conducted that kind of research, yeah, especially on interaction. You know, I think you can read more, yeah, for Mr. Ahyarido, yeah, Mr. Ahyarido. Okay, mostly he conducted research on interaction, and right now he is conducting research on online interaction. Actually, I'm one of the member of what is our research, yeah, and then we are still conducting that kind of research, especially for interaction in online. But Fariza, if you want to read first, we want to comprehend with the traditional interaction, you can read. Actually, not only Mr. Rido, but also me also involved in that research, yeah. You can download and read. That's for traditional. But for online, in interaction, we are still doing that. We are still doing that. Okay, so hopefully our paper will be accepted and published soon because we have submitted. But when we refer to your question, so how, yeah, that's the question, how to make it, what is that, effective, yeah, way in good interaction. Yeah, we can see, yeah, we have to see in detail. For example, of course, talking about interpersonal, if Fariza want to do this in SFL area, Fariza, so I suggest you to read more in the second types of meaning, that in interpersonal meaning. Okay, yeah, interpersonal meaning, because you are going to what is that? Do that's kind of interaction, yeah, between lecturer and then the student, because in interaction that will talk more about speech function, yeah, speech function, that interaction. Okay, so yeah, based on my what is that, based on my reading, yeah, not based on my finding, because we are still waiting for that one, but we have done, the research. So yeah, as a lecturer, we try to apply, yeah, we try to apply how the student interact, not only from the lecturer but also from the student. For example, Fariza, okay, you have, yeah, you have what's the activate your camera, and then I try to check what about others. Poppy, for example, I couldn't see her face, so we have to check that one. This is the part of interaction, yeah, even only what is that, the name Poppy, yeah, but I didn't see her face. Hasib, for example, that's only name. Yeah, Nova, even I see, yeah, Nova's picture, but no interaction. That this is the part of. So I'll try to what is that, ask, yeah, in what meaning, in what meaning, so imperative. Poppy, could you please, Hasib, could you please activate? This is interaction in interpersonal, yeah, in interpersonal between lecturer and the students. Okay, and then question, for example, yeah, I try to encourage student to have some question. This is the part of also interaction. Yeah, Fariza, yeah. So hopefully we will publish, yeah, our new research for online interaction. But right now, actually, we have here, but just wait and see. So we are going to share to the student. Thank you, Fariza.
Right. I hope it answers the questions. Yeah, Fariza. Right. Thank you very much. Next one, you may raise your hand. Okay, so we have Nova Nurrahma, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nova Nurrahma. I'm from English Literature, Teknokrat University. And my question is, actually, I'm still confused in the textual part of meta function of language. What is textual and how to identify whether it is textual or not? And the second question is, what are the good and bad impact of the transitivity? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so is it for the second presenter, for Miss Reza Nova, or for Mr. Harry?
For Mr. Harry, the first question is to Mr. Harry, and the second question to Miss Reza.
Okay, right. Mr. Harry, do you get the questions from Miss Nova? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. And for later, the second question for Miss Reza is that Nova is asking about bad impact, or maybe let's say that what are the further consequences of analyzing a text or discourse using transitivity? Is there any, let's say, strength and weaknesses maybe that Nova wants to know further? Yeah, Mr. Harry first, please.
All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Nova, for the question. It relates to textual meaning. It's very interesting. Yeah, talking about textual meaning. Of course, we are going to talk about the system of theme. The system of theme. So you have to define first what is theme means here. Based on a holiday, yeah, holiday in 1994, a theme is the point of departure of message. The point of departure. You know, departure means what the first coming, yeah, for from the speaker's mind, for example, yeah. Talking about textual, of course, in my explanation, in my talk, I have taught you in textual meaning, how the speaker try to tie it, from one text to other text, how to make the text is more cohesive. So that's why the listener or the reader in both contexts, it could be in oral context or in written context. If in written context, for example, it could be happen in writing journal, for example, in academic writing, Nova. So we can see when Nova is interested in discussing textual meaning, the system of theme in academic writing, it will be great. For example, Nova, for example, you can read, you can download one of our article from Jim. Miss Dian, Jim, jurnal mahasiswa, Mr. Yogi,
Yeah, the Students Journal
the
for
student
English
journal,
Literature Study Program.
student journal. Okay, so you can download one and then please analyze. Please analyze from one sentence to other sentences. Okay, and then the next question is, do they have cohesive text or not? If not, now you can use this kind of tools as FL in thematic progression, for example, as your research. It will be great. Okay, back to the question. What about the textual meaning itself? That's from the definition. And then the sample, in academic writing. And then what else? What else? What about in speech? Can we conduct this kind of research? Yes, I have taught you. It could be both in oral or in writing. Okay, Nova. So again, I would like to review that textual meaning. It refers to theme. Theme. Theme is the departure of the text. The departure of message. What is will come up in the first time, and then it will connect. It must be connected from one text to another text. That is very essential discussion, I guess. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Heri Kuswoyo. Now the second questions can be answered by Ms. Reza, please. Yes, Ms. Reza.
Yes, hello. Hello. Okay. Am I clear?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay. So Nova, for your question is what can be the strength and weakness of transitivity, right? So that's your question. How we use or what are the benefits from using transitivity, and what are the weaknesses somehow. Looking back, going back to the meaning of transitivity or the core of the social system.
Okay, you join again. Okay, don't worry, take your
Okay,
time.
I'm sorry, my internet connection is not cooperating. Anyways, to make it short, in SFL transitivity, the main focus there is looking at the text as in a functional way. Okay, language use is functional, meaning it is the choice of verbs can reflect what kind or what are the characters of the writer or the speaker. Say for example, if the text or the speech of a certain person is more into verbal processes, meaning you can see the ideology of that speaker, that he or she is a little harmless because he just keep on telling things, comparing to the person who will be using much more of the material processes that will be a little bit aggressive because he is more into action oriented speech. So the choice of verb is very important also in creating meaning to hit what is your goal, to attain what do you want to attain in the society. So that's what the transitivity is all about. Making meaning through the choice of your words, because words are have impact. No, it has an impact, the way you deliver it, the way you use it in a written or spoken discourse, that will reflect your ideology. Okay, and just like any other framework, it also has a limitation. Um, so I guess that's hello.
Yes,
Oh
yes, it's
yes.
audible.
Mm-mm. So I guess that's it for transitivity implications. It's more on the ideology of the user, the language user.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Miss Reza. I hope it answers the questions. Yeah, Nova. Right. So I think that we will have the last questions here. Okay. We have Mazda Karima. Mazda, please. Okay. Yes.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Mazda Karima Soli. I'm from Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia. And now I have question for Ms. Reza. Ms. Reza, how is the trend of discourse analysis research in Philippines, especially on political discourse? Thank you.
Yeah. Mazda is asking about the trends of discourse
The
analysis.
trends
Yeah, the
of
trends of
discourse
discourse analysis research in Philippines. Right.
Okay, based on the trends of discourse analysis or the critical discourse analysis in the Philippines, the linguist actually is more into the applied linguistics researches, social linguistics. They are the researchers are more into discussing or analyzing online text, since we do have a lot of online learning, online platform, online chat discussions because of the pandemic. So the trend there is focusing on discourses, written discourses, text discourses, digital discussion. Also, in the applied linguistics, we have more into giving solutions to problems, such as trying to, for the textual analysis, trying to get the way language scammers, how do they structure, how do they build up the way they talk, the conversation of scammers, and then also we are more into addressing problems in the communicative uh, situations, such as speeches or communicative problems brought by people with special needs or communicative needs. So that's the trend, I guess, of the discourse analysis or the critical discourse analysis in the Philippines, basically in our locality.
Okay, right. Thank you very much. So it in line with the trends right now, what is happening, which is in educations, digitalizations, and etc. Right. Thank you, Ms. Reza. Okay. And Mazda also, thank you very much for asking the questions. We have we have one more. I hope that both speakers are still available to answer the questions. We have question from Amelia Cahyani. Amel, you may turn on the camera and turn on the microphones, please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Here I want to ask Mr. Harry about this one. How does the lecture strategy to make students get clearly point in the lecture?
Can you repeat the questions?
How does the lecture strategies to make students get clearly point in the lecture?
To get really involved, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, right. So Mr. Harry, how then the lecturers can invite the students to really involve in online class, especially the synchronous class like this?
Okay, yeah, thank you. for the question, Amel. Of course, my answer will be related to my discussion. Yeah, our discussion today. Um, of course, relate to the genre. Yeah, the genre analysis, schematic structure, and I relate to the schematic. Yeah, Amel. First, at the beginning of my presentation, I have taught you, based on my readings from the previous research, that some research have taught discussing schematic structure or a generic structure is it what is that potential and then impactful, yeah, how to make the students easily to understand or capture the lecture. That's not based on my opinion, no, but from the previous research, and they agree with this. So that's why I bring this for my research, yeah, not only for my previous, but also for my doctoral degree, yeah. So that's why I bring this. But that's for traditional, but that's for traditional genre. But right now, this is very interesting. What about in digital? In digital genre, is there any difference? Okay, yeah. So how the way to capture, yeah, easily the lecture or involve in interaction? Of course, it could be based on two sides. The first from lecture side, and the second from the student side. From the lecture side, as I taught you, in conclusion, it could be it has two implications, yeah, both theoretical or practical. What about in practical for lecturers? So after we call the model later on, yeah, it is what is that? This is very good, yeah, very good framework to apply, yeah, when the lecturers what is that present, yeah, in their lecture, starting from the opening phase and then discussion phase and then closing phase, and also it really close to pedagogical aspects, yeah, how the lecture to open until close the class. That's number one. And then from the lexicogrammaticals, now, so hopefully the lecturer also could use that kind of a predictable, generic, yeah, lexicogrammar, starting from additional and then interpersonal and then textual, yeah, from theme, the system of theme, the system of mood, and then the system of transitivity. So it will be beneficial for the lecturer, yeah, especially for the lecturer, for those who have just got, yeah, the position, yeah, for that one. And then the second, from the students, what is that point of view from the student side? Now, so you can use this kind of model, yeah, to predict. That's we call at the first time I taught you. This is predictable. This is predictable. So what about the after opening? Oh, it will be this move or this step. After what is that? Explaining the objective. So what after this? Yeah. What about in discussion phase, for example? What step? What next? So that's predictable. So you can use this easily to capture the lecture until the closing. Yeah, because this is culture. This is culture. That's we call as genre. Because every meeting we are going to do this in the same pace. Yeah, Mr. Yogi. Yeah, but yeah, this kind of lecture, this kind of talk also, opening and then activity and then closing, it will be the same. Yeah, so hopefully it can give you a predictable, yeah, for capturing the lecture. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Harry. Okay, it seems that there are some questions also from the participants, but we are limited by time, so we do apologize for that one. But maybe those who are still asking the questions can directly direct message the presenters today. Okay, right. This will be the end of the sessions of international collaborative lecture series between Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia and Davao Oriental State University. But the last one here, let me read the comments from Mr. Nelson from Dorsu. Congratulations to Prof. Heri Kuswoyo and Ms. Reza Maisolano for
Thank
the
you.
very comprehensive lectures. I believe that the topic are very essential among the students who pursue English or language studies, and the topics empathized to learners to be critical in their choice of words, especially verbs, be it in written or spoken discourses. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Nelsons, the presenter for the previous sections. Yeah. Okay, right. So now we are moving to the next agenda, which is the token of appreciations that will be delivered by Miss Intan Hamzah. For Miss Intan, you are pleased.
Thank you very much for the moderator, Mr. Suprayogi. Thank you very much for Mr. Dr. Heri Kuswoyo M. Hum for being with us today to deliver a lecture about the schematic structure in the FL online classroom, a systematic literature review. And on behalf of Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia, as a token of appreciation, we would like to present you the certificate of the International Collaborative Lecture Series, which is signed by Director of Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia, Dr. H.M. Nasrullah Yusuf SAMBA. And also, we will send the certificate to your email.
Thank you.
Okay, and then also thank you for Ms. Reza Maisi Selano LPT for being with us today to share your valuable knowledge about transitivity on President Marcos Jr. inaugural speech. And on behalf of Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia, as a token of appreciation, we would like also to present you the certificate of the International Collaborative Lecture Series, which is signed by Director of Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia, Dr. H.M. Nasrullah Yusuf SAMBA, and we will also send the certificate to your email. Thank you very much. And then the last one.
Thank you.
Thank you. The last one, we will also invite you to the last International Collaborative Lecture Series next week on August 9th, 2022. From Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia and Davao Oriental State University. Thank you very much for the moderator.
All right, thank you very much for Miss Intan. Okay, the last one, everyone, we would like to have a group photo sessions. So the operators, please help me to arrange this one. Okay. All right, so let me count for, okay, let's see how many pages today. Right, let's move. Let's start the first page. I count 1, 2, 3, captured. Second slide, 1, 2, 3, captured. Third slide, 1, 2, 3, captured. Okay, is that all? 3 slides. All right, so this ends today's international collaborative lecture series between Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia and also Davao State Oriental University of Philippines. Then we will also have the fourth or the last lecture series that will be conducted next week's with different presenters. So I'd like to say thank you very much for all the attendees here, the students from Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia, the students of Davao Oriental State University, the fellow lecturers. Here we have Mr. Arvin, Mr. Nelsons, and our speakers today, Ms. Reza, also the lecturers from Universitas Teknokrat Indonesia. We have Ms. Intan, Ms. Berlinda, Miss Dian, and also other lecturers. Thank you very much. We will see you in other occasions. So I close these sessions. Very good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Dr.
Stay
Arvin.
safe.
Dan
Yes,
you too.
Yes, Professor Harry. God bless.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, bye
Okay, thank you
bye.
very much. Okay.
Thank you, sir.